This is Edie here. It is Thursday at noon Central Time, and I'm back home. I had said that I was going to be in the back of a Suburban trying to do my Facebook Live, but I am home. I just walked in the door, actually, so the cats and the dog are going crazy, so don't be surprised if you see cats walking around in front of the screen. Anyway, for those of you that don't know me, I am a coach. I'm a retired Navy officer, and I devote most of my time working with professional Christian women to help them thrive and to be, I'm sorry, the phone's moving because the cat's walking around, help professional Christian women to thrive and become the best that they can be so that they can give their very best to the things that are most important to them in their lives. I love that because I'm a working Christian woman. I've always been that, and that's where my heart is. So, but the things that I teach really apply to almost everyone. So hopefully you'll hang around and maybe you'll learn something, because today I'm talking about how to throw out your to-do list. And I think you're going to actually be really surprised. Your first thought might not be that that's going to make you more productive or help you create more free time, but it is. So hang with me, and I think you might pick up a few pointers. That's my goal. And I also have a free little giveaway checklist that I'll post in the comments about where you can go and download that. And also a link to the blog article, which I put out this week, talks a lot more detail about this process I'm going to teach you today. But before I get started with the process of how to go about transitioning so that you can throw out your to-do list, I thought I'd tell you a little story. I was an officer in the Navy for a long time, 21 years, retired from the Navy. When I first got in the Navy, I was young enough and smart enough that I could keep everything I needed to do in my brain. But as I got more senior and started having more responsibility, which they give you pretty quick in the Navy, I started realizing that I could not do that. I would start forgetting stuff, and I learned a technique from one of my bosses where I just kept a steno pad and would keep this running list of all the things I needed to do. And that worked pretty well for me. I would go back and cross things off, and it's a big thrill. I got to where I would even just add things to my list so that I'd already done, so I could cross them off. I bet you can relate. And so that became sort of my way of doing business. And when I got to where I was teaching senior officers at the Navy's Leadership School, I started learning that lots of people did the same thing. Just these long to-do lists, and you just keep adding to it, and it gets longer and longer and longer. And we would keep that either in our planner, on a calendar, or on our desk. So what I want to do is I'm going to teach you 6 basic steps that you can develop in your life to develop the habit of, so you don't have to keep a to-do list anymore. You're going to love it once you get past the first few. So the very first step in this process is that you are going to get a big piece of paper, like a legal pad or notebook paper or something like that, and you're going to just do this brain dump onto the paper. Everything you need to do, just start writing. Don't edit, just write. Stuff you want to do, stuff you have to do, stuff you would love to do, things that you wish you could do, vacation things, big things, little things, work things, personal things. Just get it all down on a piece of paper. And then put your pencil down and say, okay, what else is there? What am I forgetting? And then write that. So ask yourself, what else? What am I forgetting about? A couple of times, and then you're going to finally get everything down. Take a little break. Go stretch, put your pencil down, and then come back. And the next thing you're going to do is identify all the obstacles that are preventing you from accomplishing those things on your list. It could be just what's blocking you, what's keeping you from moving forward on that. Or it could be that maybe you need to learn some new piece of technology, or maybe you need to hire somebody to help you do it. Or maybe you need to do some other thing before you can actually get to that thing. So just write down all the different obstacles that are preventing you from accomplishing those things. That's step 2. Once you've done that, then I want you to go back and look at your list, and you're going to say, you know what? I don't have to do anything on this list. Does that shock you? Does that sound like, oh my gosh, I'm freaking out? Or do you actually like the idea of thinking, I don't have to do anything on my to-do list? So I know y'all are skeptical, but the point of this is you don't have to do anything. You have a choice. You're a grown-up, you're an adult, and you can choose not to file your income taxes. Will there be a consequence? Yes, and that's part of the process of deciding what you're going to do and what's most important and what you can eliminate. So I want you to realize you actually have good choices about what you're going to do and not do. So go through and identify the things you want to get off your list and just forget about them and eliminate them. Decide, I have a choice about this. I don't have to actually do this. And, you have the freedom to say no to things. I have some notes here, by the way, because I like to be prepared. And I don't want to waste your time while you're looking at this. So once you've eliminated things off your list, I want you to go back and then prioritize everything by how important it is, not how urgent it is. That's a big difference. So I want you to number things. Most important, next most important, and so on. And trust me, the first time you do this process, it's going to be kind of time consuming and it may seem a little overwhelming. Just stick with me. The longer you do this, once a week, you're going to find your download, your list gets shorter and shorter and shorter. Pretty soon you're not even going to have one. And you're going to learn why in just a minute. So prioritize things by how important they are. Okay, that's number 4. Step 5, now you've gotten rid of stuff on your calendar. You've put it in priority. Now you're going to get your calendar out and you're going to actually take those items and start plugging them into your calendar. And the first thing I want you to do is to put your free time and the things that you're going to do to take care of yourself so you can be the best you. Put those things in chunks of time on your calendar first. If you don't, then you're going to fill up your calendar and you'll be always wondering why I don't ever have time to take care of myself or go to the gym or plan my meals or whatever it is. So, okay. So you're going to take all those things off of your prioritized list, put them on your calendar this week, next month, 3 months from now. Everything goes in a date and a time, and you're going to build in lots of margin around those items. So you're going to give yourself grace and plan for extra time. And if you get it done in the shorter amount of time, awesome. You can go for a run or go have coffee or go watch Netflix or whatever it is that you want to do with that time you just earned. Okay, so that's number 5. Add it to your calendar. Number 6 is, this is really the exciting part. Once you've done all of that, you can just wad up your to-do list and throw it in the trash. You don't need it anymore. All that stuff you dumped onto the paper, and some of it you eliminated and you put it in priority, and now it's on your calendar, so you don't have to carry it around in your brain anymore or on a to-do list. It's there. So that's really awesome. And some of you are thinking, well, what about the things that pop up after I've done all of that? Well, add it right to your calendar. Figure out when it needs to be done by and just write it in with margin, lots of space around it. Or just say, okay, I'll just add that to my to-do download list for next week. And then when you do this process the following week, Sunday night, Monday morning, then you'll add that to your list. It's awesome. So now the really hard part, and this is not one of the 6 steps that I talked about, but this is the one that may be the hardest of all, and that is when something shows up on your calendar that you've committed to, you have to actually honor your commitment to yourself and go do it. You can't weasel out of it or get all whiny and act like a little toddler and throw a fit and say, I'm not going to do this. You actually have to do it. And it's honoring yourself. If you made a commitment to yourself, you deserve to have that person, you, show up on time and take care of it, right? So that's kind of the gist of it. Sounds sort of easy to just talk about it, and if you download the checklist, you'll look at that and go, well, this is no big deal. But first time you do it, like I said earlier, it's going to be kind of a long, involved process. Next week, not as much, and the following week, not as much. So I ask you to please, like I would ask my clients, to think of this as an experiment. You're going to try this out for a month. So be committed for a month, and then give it a try. And I guarantee you, after 4 weeks of doing this process the way I've explained it, you're going to find that when things come up, they go right on your calendar, and you don't have to carry around this long list of stuff to do. It's a real relief, believe me. So there's 2 things I'd really like to ask you to do. First of all, go read the entire blog article on my website, and I'll include a link to that when I do the comments on here. Read that first, and then there's a link in the blog to go download the little checklist. It's just a little 1-page thing you can fold up and stick in your planner, so that until this becomes a habit for you, you can just refer back to that. And I think you'll find that really helpful. So hope you enjoy this. I hope you may have picked up a few little tidbits that'll be helpful. Or if you really want to take on the challenge, do the whole thing, just like I've laid it out here. And go read the blog, download the freebie, and then I'll see you back here next week. I don't think I'm going to be going out of town. I went with my sister and her husband and my mom to Houston, and we went to see an opera at the Houston Grand Opera. It was amazing. It was beautiful, and we had a great time driving down there and seeing this beautiful, colorful opera in this amazing performing arts center called the Wortham Center. So if you're in Houston, or you're going to Houston, go check it out. It's in the theater district in downtown Houston. It's really wonderful. So thanks for watching. I will see you next week. Next week, I'm super excited because the topic has to do with something that has changed my life. And that is, I'm going to introduce you to a process where you can confidently dive into God's Word on your own, by yourself, just you and the Lord. And you're not going to need to have some study guide. You're not going to need to have some Bible study book. Just your Bible and you in a journal or a notebook, or the template that I'm going to provide for you next week that you can download and use. So come back next week, and I'll look forward to seeing you then. And have a great rest of your week. Love y'all. Bye.